Good evening. Nice to see you guys. When I was standing over there, I thought to myself, they put this little microphone on here, and I thought, I'm going to be able to use my hands because I speak very well with my hands. And now suddenly I've got this thing in my hand as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. But it's very nice to be here, guys. When I prepped for this talk, I was taking a look at, obviously, the theme is Fred's great book. I got a PDF copy about a week ago, so I've been reading it off the computer. It's truly enlightening. And then last night I was at a very interesting, like a cocktail party that Knife Capital held. And it was quite fascinating to see what venture capital does in this country. And the whole basis around that was they'd invested in 7 companies and exited out of 4 of them. Now, if you know venture capital, generally, internationally speaking, 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 20 is where they look for a return. These guys got a 4 out of 7. And the big thing that excites me about that is that we can build tremendously powerful and dynamic businesses in South Africa. So that was kind of where my thinking was with the discussion and the talk that we're going to do tonight. But I thought to myself, you know what, everybody this year has come for the book, and it says starting a business. So I'm going to go through the 7 questions, and very nice and easy, it's not going to be a long talk. Just things that you want to take a look and consider when you start and get going in a business. And there's a different talk that I'll have on another day, which are the 5 questions that that you have to answer for a venture capitalist when you go in that direction. So there are all these different phases to starting and growing a business. And guys, if this is what you're into, it's the most exciting thing you can do ever. Life's so much fun, and we've got so much access to so much right now. I can access anybody in Silicon Valley. I can speak to somebody in China. I can get, a fintech idea from the UK. I can speak to guys in Australia. I'm not big fans of theirs, but if I needed to, I could. And all of this I can suck in and I bring in. I'm always excited by the idea. That Uber, for example, stands just on the shoulders of giants because they use Google Maps and they use AWS or Amazon Web Services for scaling their business. They use Stripe for payments. It's nothing that they built. All they do is brought it together very, very cleverly. So let's take a look at a few interesting aspects or things that you just got to play around with in your mind when you build a business. And the first one is the bigger one from an engineering question. It's, can you create breakthrough technology instead of incremental improvements? And why am I bringing this up? This is the type of stuff I can't do. I'm not an engineer. But there are a tremendous amount of clever people that build clever stuff. And where's the big thing that really excites me is that people are talking about, the dynamic of Silicon Valley. I find that the dynamic of Silicon Valley we find in a place called Techno Park. So it's just outside of Stellenbosch. The guys are well funded. Why? Because daddy's got a wine farm and he's put him through varsity. And after varsity, he doesn't have to go to work for 3 or 4 years. So he can go and build shit. And this is what they do. There's a beautiful, there's a dynamic company over there. I'm actually not going to mention their name, but they're engineering-wise, they built phenomenal security products. You know how they did this? Is they were a bunch of engineers that sat every Thursday with a bottle of whiskey, and they thought of ideas. A year and 3 months later, they came up with this one. They're now in 28 countries, and their offices are in Stellenbosch, and it's because they built something that is breakthrough technology. From the time banks and people started using their security product, they've taken fraud right down. It's quite spectacular what these guys have done. The next one that one wants to take a look at is the timing question. Because if you're over here and you think to yourself, I am going to build the most amazing buggy whip, you're fucked. Because we're not riding horses anymore. No? We're in cars. You've got to take a look at the timing, and you've got to take a look at where we are in life. If you're starting to build apps for feature phones, your market is completely radically different than trying to break into the American market. You're never going to go there. So just take a look, and you know what, I have probably a warehouse full of ideas, and half of them, the timing is not right yet. And another half of them, I was way too early for things, and other than them, I was way too late. And you get excited about these things, but what you've got to do is stop a little and just take a look at it. And remember, the timing is not necessarily the year. It also might be where you are in life. Is it time for you to start the massive new business when your wife is 7 months pregnant. Just make sure that you're on the right side of the equation on that one. Monopoly question. Are you starting with a big share of a small market? This is always a great and a fun thing, but make sure that you've got a big share of a small market. Let me mathematically give you an example of what I'm talking about. If you have a product that you needed to get to every single MTN smartphone in the world, but what you did is you built your business case around the South African model. That means that you're going to get an odd circa 30 million subscribers. And actually you need 280 million subscribers. Because what you're doing then, you're a small fish in a very big pond. Now take a look at this from an engineering point of view, where people sometimes build a business and say, we've got this phenomenal business and we're going to get everybody in the country to sign up to it, where your whole market is actually the world. So make sure, and just take a look at it. Remember, all of these questions aren't always relevant, but take a look. If you can get 5 out of 7 of them going in your business, it becomes truly relevant. The people question, most probably one of the key ones, and an interesting one with the dynamic that you change as you go through life. Why is this important? I was mentoring a business recently where they built the business up to a stage, but the founder of the business is not a good CEO. This is probably one of the most important things, is that at some other point in time, and this happens when you start getting second and third rounds of funds, is the CEO or the guy that's driving the business sometimes changes. You get somebody in that can run a business, that can really do things on an interesting way of doing it. So when you start a business, it's always a tricky one, how you choose your partners, how you choose the people that do business with you. Sometimes we get people into the business because they'll come for free in the beginning. Please be aware and be a little scared about that, because you can get them in and it's very difficult sometimes to get them out. So make sure who you work with. Also, when we recently built iFlix for Africa, what I did is I made sure that all the people that we brought into it is people I can work with, that are nice. It's probably one of the more important things, is you want people that are nice, because you're going to work with them every day. And that deliver at the top of their game. This is what you're wanting, and make sure that, because these guys, you're going to have to exit with them at some other point in time as well. Distribution question. This probably is the biggest question if you're in the mobile space. I get so many people that come to me with great app ideas. Recently helped and consulted with a business that's building a mobile app, and they're like, yeah, everybody's going to download it. Yeah, no. Guys, mobile apps are tremendously expensive to get somebody to download it. I think with the price check app, we had the benefit of having Naspers behind us. I think it cost us 10 or 15 rand per app that was downloaded. If you think of it, if you're building an app, consider that it could cost you up to $1 per download. That's a lot of money. If you want to get 1 million downloads and you've got 100,000 rand in the bank, going nowhere. So please make sure about, specifically in the digital space, it's expensive to get things out there. It's a very, very big and crowded market. And what we've got to do is make sure that we can get the product out. And the other thing, of course, on the distribution question is e-commerce. One that you take a look at in the South African market specifically. It's expensive to ship products. Make sure that you integrate and bring that into your equation. Durability question. Now, we live in a land or an environment currently where everybody is thinking that in 3 years we're going to exit and we're all going to live on yachts. But that's very quick Silicon Valley thinking. I think only about 2% of all businesses, venture capital backed in Silicon Valley, actually exit that fast in that way. And what we want to do is we want to build durable businesses that continue and carry on. One of the businesses that exited out of, that Knife Capital exited out of last night, they think they started in 98. So they've been going for quite a while. But the exit itself was fantastically beautiful. Yeah? But they built it in such a way that the business had sustainability throughout. So take a look at your long-term plans. Take a look at where do you want to go with this business. Do you just want to build it in South Africa? Do you want to build it in Africa? Do you want to build it out into the States? And when you're starting a business, one of the most interesting one of the biggest messages I try to get across to people is build stuff here for America. You know that 70% of the venture capital market or building of products in Israel is not for Israel, it's for Silicon Valley and America. And they all get backed, and they get backed in a big way. The technology that comes out of here, guys, Elon Musk comes from here. He was boy's eye, 2 years old, behind me. I was in Afrikaans work. Yeah? That where he talks about being, in his book, he was bullied when he was at school. It was probably the office guys that did it to the boys' eye guys. If you know Pretoria at all. But what I love about the Elon Musk story is that us as South Africans have got tremendous amount of street cred. And we're street fighters as well. We're interesting and interested. A lot of people have heard this from me before. I think the Americans are very middle class. It's like going to Bloemfontein. You're bright. We do spectacular stuff here. Start thinking bigger. And that brings me to the secret question, or the last one. Have you identified a unique opportunity that others don't see? And I'm not going to carry on long on this question. I want to just leave you with 2 lines of thought in it. So you found something and you're like, there's a gap in the market. This is phenomenal. Please make sure there's a market in the gap. Because a lot of people think of things and ideas, but they don't realize that the reason there's a gap in that market because there's no fucking market. Okay. That's very true. A lot of people think I built this fantastic thing, but there's nobody that wants to buy your product. And then we're going to leave you with the last quote. We'll know a variety of ways to make a living. What's really exciting is finding ways to make a fortune. You know, of the 4 businesses, and I'm referring back to it because I just like the story. Of the 4 businesses that the guys exited, Knife Capital, they exited with 14 new dollar millionaires. That's the type of stuff you want to do. The reason why books like this get written is so that you can go out and build businesses that they write books about. Thank you.